pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morgan Township meeting, February 8th, 2021, 7 p.m. Take a roll call, please.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Morgan Township Board of Trustee minutes dated January 25th, 2021 as written.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
I'll entertain a motion to approve warrants.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment listing from 1/26/2021 through 2/8/2021. Payment number 33-2021 through payment number 74-2021. Warrant number 10477 through 10506 for a total of $64,972.16.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right, do we have anyone from the audience tonight? Not? Mr. Galloway.
Okay, we'll start with the Township Administration Report. So the COVID, we're still following the same procedures and guidelines as the state has put on. Hamilton County came off the purple, so there's no purple counties in the state right now. And there's actually now starting to be a few yellows. So the numbers are coming down throughout the region and the state, and Chief Griffith will go over that in more detail. Number two, I had been talking to Federal Siren Corporation for a couple of months now about the tornado siren on California, because I had heard that there were warranty defects on those year's models. So last week I got a call from the district supervisor rep for Federal Sirens themselves and said, oh, you know what, we've looked at your model numbers, and this one and the one on California, both of those fall under that defect parts for the 2011-2012 sirens. So they're fixing both the one on California Road, and then they're going to repair and put new parts in this one right here at the admin building for free.
So wasn't the one on California you were going to replace anyway, and you were waiting to get the contractor in a bucket truck?
Yep.
So we don't have to do that now?
Nope.
Good.
So when I didn't hear anything back from Federal for so many months, I went ahead and contacted a local Federal dealer to fix it, and then we had to coordinate with a bucket truck to get it. Well, at some point in time, Federal finally, I guess, looked at my claim and said, oh yeah, by the way, we realize your claims. So I'm like, okay. So they, like I said, called last week, and there's like, hey, we see your claim here, and your sirens do fall under that with the warranty numbers. And so they've totally told they've already called their little distributor company that's down in Kentucky, don't go fix these sirens, we're going to take care of them all ourselves.
So they got
corporation.
They got the bucket truck and everything. We don't have to worry.
The company does, the
Good.
Federal themselves, the parent company does all that stuff themselves. Yep. So that's all going to be covered under warranty. And again, the nice thing is before this one actually goes here, they're going to do the one here at the admin building and repair and rebuild that whole defective parts on it. So
Good.
that's all I got tonight, except for the one executive session. And I'll move over to the fire chief's report, which is actually very light as well tonight. So the last thing we're remaining is the watch office, the kitchen, the cabinets that we bought from Home Depot. They arrived last week, and we were going to install them. They arrived 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, and we were going to install them last week until COVID, the second COVID shot, kind of took our crews that were going to hang the cabinets down. So we expect to hang those this week on Wednesday, and then that project will be absolutely done. Phase 3 will be totally done. And sometime in the spring, I'm going to start going out for bids, as we talked about, the interior of the bay and the floors in the Phase 4 project. So last Wednesday, February 3rd, we all had our second COVID vaccination shots, which for most of us didn't go well. Most of us were pretty sick for a 24 to 30 hour period. And luckily, the crew that was on the next day did get shots, but I just had them check trucks and hang in the beds and the recliners because the entire department was really sick. I was asked why we planned that. We didn't plan that. That was the day that the health department gave us the shots and said, this is your day to give them, period. So we just worked around our folks being sick, and some didn't have a reaction and were on backup if we had calls. But it was the sickest I've been in probably 10 years from that
Wow.
shot. So we're all vaccinated. We did 16 of our members and then 14 of Riley's. So
It's a
that
good
is
thing the
good.
fires in Riley didn't happen on Thursday.
Well,
Thursday.
The funny thing is Riley didn't have any, well, when I called to check on them, they were all fine.
Really?
Chief Conrad's like, yeah, I feel great, and we're all good, and we're all can't even get out of bed.
Yep,
so.
they had lesser reactions. Some had a couple headaches and stiff muscles, but they fared a lot better than our folks did. So
I've heard that if you react violently to the second shot, there's probably a good chance that you had it.
That's
that is
10 times greater chance of that.
Yeah.
That is that is some of the history that's
Yeah.
going around now in research. Yep. So that's number 2. So number 3, just to kind of boast now the Nixle thing. So today, Chief Griffith put out the winter weather advisory, and we had 1,422 subscribers that received the text today. Lieutenant Galloway finally got the approval from the Ross School District to put a flyer in each one of the kids' report cards over at the elementary school. So next week we'll be processing those, and that'll go out to another like 800 students and their families from the school. We kind of suspended putting the signs out because the ground's frozen. They don't really go too
Can't
far
get
down
in.
in the
And
ground.
the wind was,
And the wind, yeah. They go down about 1.5 inches and then they just stop. So we're going to get that back in when the ground starts to thaw and lead into that into that spring weather.
I got one at the top of Whispering Woods and Bell, and I've gotten probably at least 8. What is that?
Yep.
What is this for? And
Yep.
explained it, and so
Yep.
hopefully they signed up.
Yeah, it's up to over 1,400 subscribers
Good.
on that service, so that's a good thing. That's all I've got, except I'm going to do a PO tonight, and then Chief's just got the January update and a COVID update. So I need a PO for Vogel Pool Fire and Safety Equipment. So I put on annual, but we really do it every other year. We bench test all the air packs, which is going through the entire SCBA and bench testing it from Vogel Pool. And then we also do our annual fit testing with a mask, which are required by OSHA. So that PO is going to be for $1,425, and we'll do that sometime. They've got it lined up with Vogel Pool does. Lieutenant Cooper sometime in spring that we'll be doing all that annual maintenance on the air packs.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved.
And other than any questions for me, that's all I've got for tonight. I'll hand it over to Chief Griffith.
Nope, okay. So January 21 versus 20 shows us up 8 responses from last year. So we continue our trend of being busier. If you've seen your active 911 the last 5 days, it's really been busy. And it continues with the cold weather. Everybody's trying to find alternate sources of heat, and I hope everybody out there does not overload their circuits during this 0-degree predicted weather and gets their chimneys cleaned. I can't stress enough a good chimney sweep right now, because I saw my neighbor who's never burned a fire before show up with a truckload of wood, and I'm just scared, because I know they haven't burned wood ever. So everybody's trying to find alternate heating sources, so please watch your space heaters, watch where you put your space heaters. If you're gonna use a fuel-based one, be careful of that also, and remember those make carbon monoxide, so make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector. And we hope everybody uses good logic this week when the temperatures drop. No structure fires that were ours. Our predominant was EMS again. We did make 5 responses into Ross Township last month, and with 5 transports. That was on one day when they were particularly short, and then another day. But they help us, we help them. It is what it is. No other any other questions about January? It was actually.
Starting off.
Yeah, it's starting off. We did the math. If we keep this up, we'll get 600 this year, so that's our goal. As far as COVID, I didn't make a copy for everybody, but the good thing about this is if you read in the notes, all these little graphs here, they're all going down. If you see that, every one of them, no matter what you read in the media, the real numbers show that cases are going down. In Ohio, hospitalizations are going down, deaths are going down, and patients' recoveries are going up. So that's a good thing. There's a lot of explanations for it. There's a lot of theories on it, but we'll take it. So, in 45053, though, actually cases went up. 5.3% or 14 cases. Our population is so low, 5%, but that's 14 new cases since the last time I reported. And Okeana 45053 counts for 1% of all the county's confirmed cases. Can't draw any other conclusions beyond that because the other zip codes are mixed in with other parts of Hamilton and Ross. But that zip code is up also, but you can't say if it's Morgan Township or not. Right now, 8.4% of the population of Butler County has had or has COVID at this point, so less than 10%. Other than that, the numbers, the hospitalizations continue to go down in Butler County also, and as do ICU admissions, so that's all good things. We haven't transmitted any COVID in the last 3 weeks. You know, we had a spurt of it, but it's really been kind of quiet on that. And we hope that everybody goes out and gets vaccinated. They're getting ready to open up 1B 65 and over real soon here. I think that'll be a huge impact. The teachers, Ross Local Schools, got their first injection Thursday, and other schools are getting theirs out too. So as people get their second injection in the 14 days after that, we hope.
So is it still the Moderna and the Pfizer? Has
Yeah,
Johnson & Johnson come out yet?
Johnson & Johnson hasn't come out. They went for an emergency authorization. They've had their hearing, but it's not gone to the Centers of Disease Control or been released
That one's
yet.
only one shot, right?
One shot. It's not an mRNA. It's based on its carrier is the cold virus. It's a whole different delivery method. That's why they can do it at one. The prevention rate is lower, but you can get it out quicker, and that makes a larger impact. 95% doesn't necessarily matter if you got to wait for 2 shots because it's such a long time. Because people can get COVID. I could get it tomorrow. I mean, my 14 days is really not up yet. So you can still get it in those 14 days waiting, or with Pfizer, it's 7 days.
Have they said anything about is it going to be like an annual shot, like the flu shot? Or
Moderna's already started research into a booster at 1 year. I read that today online from a reputable source that they'll probably be every year, just like the flu. You're going to have to, because it's going to, you hear about variants and all this, and any virus mutates, whether it's the flu or COVID. So I think the last thing I read, which is depressing, that this pandemic could stay statistically here for 7 more years. So we're going to be getting shots. And I read another interesting thing, that 3/4 of the population that was polled said they're going to wear masks once COVID's over, because no one's gotten the flu. Have you heard of any food poisoning? We've been well. Everybody's been well because everybody's wearing masks. So masks may be here to stay for a long time.
You want to make
Optional masks.
Do you want to make any forecast when we might be able to assemble more than 10 in one setting?
I would say September. If I could make a bet on it, I think
September.
I think it's September. By the time the general public gets all their vaccine,
Everybody
everybody vaccinated. I think I may be even optimistic, but I think.
Well, they said that the curfew may be lifted here
Yeah,
shortly. if the
hospitalizations are, I won't say plummeting, but are going down very quickly. And every 2 weeks, he can lower them again and again. And once it gets under 2,500, then he'll let it go away. So
The other issue is that how entities, facilities, buildings, things like that, decon and rehab their buildings. So like us at the fire department do it daily. We do the building over here with the UV and the lanterns and the sprays, but a lot of these restaurants are not opening back up interior. Like a lot of McDonald's are drive-through only, and it's because they just don't have the capability, nor do they want to take that liability of having a company come in every day and sterilize and decon that interior. They just leave drive-through. So to say that allowing 10 people, it may be a long time, and then you may see some entities,
Just
facilities
forget it.
never even go back to inside again.
And
Just-
the other issue is when you burn everything with UV, that's ultraviolet light, that's decomposing materials. I mean, we're gonna have some eventual damages. There's no way we burn everything 10 minutes every day. That constant UV light is gonna cause some damage, but it's risk versus benefit, and the benefit is we've not had any COVID in Morgan Township Fire Department.
Damage to what? What
Like
will it affect?
fabrics, you know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, we run it in a fire truck every day. Does that extra UV start to decompose that dash? I can't help but think it doesn't, but is it worth it? Yes. Or you do it in the front of a squad every day. Now, the backs of squad, you can actually get those installed, so that's not as much, but, you know, it is UV light at an intensified amount, but at the same time, it's well worth it.
It's killing and spraying the germs.
It's killing them, and we haven't said for the minimum to get it, but it's worth it. But I mean, you may hear us a year from now say we got to replace this or that. It's probably UV damage, but we're willing to accept that. But you got to remember, and we're spraying Cavicide, and we're spraying, you know, but we're keeping it at bay. That's how we look.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that's what we try to protect from the sun that does damage to your vehicle.
Yep,
Right.
yep. It's the same.
UV light.
It's the same UVC. It's the same wavelength. So you know we're introducing intense sun, and you see cars in Arizona and Florida. They've got, you know, they take that sun damage. It's the same thing we're doing. But at the end of the day, it's my chief's opinion. It's worth it. So we'll keep doing it. We're going to keep, you know, because we got vaccines doesn't change anything for us. It will continue to UVC. We'll continue to Cavicide. We'll continue to carry on.
What's the life expectancy of those bulbs? Do we have extra bulbs?
9,000 hours.
So
And I
it doesn't
bu-
burn out and we can't get them and then
No,
do we
I-
have to back up?
I bought 4 extra
Okay.
because one actually cracked. So I have a good. They had them here the next day. They've got all you want.
Okay, good.
So you know
All right.
we have extra. We keep breaking sprayers though. Atomizers, we've been rough on those, but they have to atomize the Cavicide. We've gone through a few of those, but it's the cost of doing business. Okay. Any other questions? COVID?
Nope, thank you.
I'll be glad when someday we cannot have a COVID discussion. I don't know when it'll be. But
Mr. Brown?
Well, obviously, I was a little late getting here because I was trying to save my time for tonight versus using it for other things. So, and I'm dressed ready to go for tonight because they say it's snowing, but it's not doing anything outside right now. But the weather radar says it's snowing. So, couple quick things is I'd called Connie and asked for a PO for more salt. We got 150 tons in last week, and we've already used 50 of that over the weekend and stuff with everything we had. And with everything that's forecast for this week, I actually need a PO for 150 tons, not 100 tons, Connie. So
Well, the first one that I've got on my report is for the 100 tons that we got last week.
that was 150 last week.
You told me 100.
No, I told you 150.
Okay, I had some in a PO yet. That's why I didn't
Okay.
need it for the whole amount.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why there's 2 POs. I think I've got enough because I had some leftover POs, and if not, we'll just have to do another PO if I run out.
You're right, because when we did the PO at the end of last year, that we did one for 200 tons, we only got 150, only ordered 150. And then this one last week was 150, and then I just placed an order this morning for another 150. So,
Okay.
so
So
that should be 450 tons total.
okay,
I think that's right, yeah.
okay. Well, like I said, I did all the numbers this morning, and if I've got it figured wrong, then we'll just have to add. I'm trying not to
Well, I
deplete your
just want to make
funds.
sure that we, because I know what I'd ordered, and
Yeah,
I just want to make sure that we're covered on that, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Do you think it'd be wise to, instead of just getting the 2 POs for what was ordered last week, what's going to order this week, in the next 2 weeks before we meet again, should we have a blanket PO? Just in case he needs some more and we won't be able to, or would you just do it now and then later?
we can just do it, yeah.
Okay.
Do the then and now.
All right, I just don't want to
for
be
later.
out.
I'm trying not to deplete the funds in the different road department funds. I've still got a little over 10,000 sitting out there that's allocated for salt, but I'm trying not to use all of that up so that if we don't need it for salt, then we can, use it for something else. I can move it around, but it's there if we do need
Okay.
it. But yeah, we can just do a then and now
Okay.
condensed meeting if we
All
have
right.
to.
Good.
And I don't want people to think that I'm getting low on salt. I'm just trying to keep the shed full. That way, if something does happen on the river, you can't get it. We're not scrambling where are we gonna get salt at? So,
Just like we always do.
right,
Yeah.
so I just want people to know that
'Cause
we're
they're-
not low on salt, we're just trying to keep our stock up, so.
Okay.
So then we've got plenty of liquid product, the beet juice salt brine mix that we got from the county, plus I've also got 4 totes of my magic salt stuff that we have for when it gets really cold, like it's supposed to be this weekend, which hopefully we don't need that, but I have it if we need it. So. There's some other issues that I don't quite know how to go about, but I don't think this is a time that I really need to talk it out.
Are you talking about Jenkins Road?
I'm talking about that and another issue that come up that I don't want to talk about in a public meeting right now, just to be honest with people, until we get a direct thing of what needs to be done. So I don't know where you guys want to
Do
go
you
with
need
that.
executive session? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but I can't call for it, so I just, there's some business matters, I don't know how you pertain to them. The one on Jenkins Road and another issue that Judy Case had called me, I think she called you, Tom. That's what I'm talking about.
I was going to bring it up, you know, in my report, but if you want to
Well,
not,
that's fine, if you're going to bring it up, then I'll just wait till then to
Okay.
discuss it, so. And that's really all I have, so.
All righty. Mr. Marshall?
Okay. We'll start with violation status. You'll notice that I have a lot more black down at the bottom, something like 5. And that is that after checking several of the violations, I was able to close them because they met compliance. Specifically today, I went by the Ivy place on Buell Road. All of the vehicles that I had asked for were moved, and believe it or not, the 2 campers that were there, that someone was living in, have been removed from the property as well. As to where, I don't know. Going back to A under number 1, the zoning commission has revised 18.971, which deals with the inoperable vehicles. And the BCPC, Butler County Planning Commission, is set to approve this tomorrow, 2/9 at 3 p.m. in their monthly meeting for February. Further status on Mr. Crump. Mr. Krupp has until 2/15 to file an appeal to the BZA, and till 2/28 to cease and desist. Failure to comply by the 28th, a second letter will be sent stating court action will be taken. I've also emailed Mr. Schlesman and asked which court will give us the best return for our effort. Right now, Common Pleas is looking like it'll be the one that will return a fine and the cease and desist order that we require. The area court would only return a fine. And I'll let you know more about that as we get it done. Under the certificates, if you will look, I don't know the exact number, but that shows the all the way through today, because I brought in $400 and some odd dollars today, $470 today on 2 certificates down at the bottom. We are $600 ahead in fees from this time last year. Any questions or thoughts on those? Most of them have been additions. Did I not give you one, Chief? Okay.
your mic is not working.
I'm sorry, Dale.
That's all right, sir. I just thought I hadn't given you that particular
no.
paper.
Batteries dead?
The zoning commission's work. The zoning commission has a public meeting on February the 17th to approve the Shandon rezoning and possibly the 3 text amendments that I submitted last, that will come up tomorrow at the BCPC meeting. There's a special meeting of the zoning commission. There was a special meeting of the zoning commission this past Wednesday, the 28th, to discuss what is allowed in a dual zone property as ABC. Inside your package, you have my opinion letter that I sent out, that I have already sent to Mr. Brandon Street, who is the son of Mr. Street, and I forget Mr. Street's first name. This is, I'm just going to read the letter because it needs to go into record anyway. It is the opinion of the Morgan Township zoning administrator that a single parcel which has been zoned in 2 districts, i.e. A1/B3, may use the agricultural portion for the permitted uses as stated in Morgan Township zoning regulations 2019, Chapter 7, Article 7.2, or seek BZA approval of a conditional use as given in Article 7.3. Article 7.2 allows for 1 single-family dwelling, public utilities, outdoor advertising and billboards, commercial kennels and riding stables as permitted uses in an A1 district. Should any of the conditional uses stated, and there are many, in 7.3 and their sub-articles be proposed, that approval shall be sought from the Board of Zoning Appeals. In all cases, consideration of several factors shall be reviewed as to the feasibility of the use. These factors are: 1, meeting all setback requirements; 2, a Butler County approved septic system available; available public water and electricity; plans on stormwater runoff; and approved ingress and egress. And in the case of the particular property at 5022, this is not in the letter, but it is access to an A1 portion over the stream to meet the Ohio 503.26 bridge and elevated surfaces requirements. The same shall apply to any development of the B3 portion in meeting the requirements in Chapter 14, B3 General District. And then respectively, it was me. You should have received a copy of this in your emails as well.
Dale, that needs to say Ohio Fire Code.
Fire code?
503,
Okay.
yep, Ohio Fire Code
All right.
50326.
I'll redo it and resubmit it.
Okay.
Okay.
So is this your answer that's going to be going
That
back
is-
to his
That
request?
is my answer, yes.
So can you explain what he's trying to do down there?
I don't know what he's trying to do there because he's never presented me exact plans for what he wants to do down there.
He's
on that
basically
particular-
presented you questions, correct?
Questions, that's
Okay.
all and I'm answering those questions.
Okay,
His question to me was, what can I do down there? Well, this is what he can do down there,
okay.
is my answer.
I think he needs to tell you what he wants to do. Because
Exactly.
what
I
it sounds
want-
like he wants to do is a little complicated, and this will only generate more questions for him,
It
because
shouldn't
if
because,
you don't know what he wants, trying to answer the question is impossible. Or
I
if
don't
he
think
can,
it,
what he wants to do. If we can tell him yes or no, that-
no,
that's what we
that's
wanna
not
do.
how it works, Jeff. A yes and a no is not necessarily how it works. The plans have to be presented so that I understand what exactly it is he's doing.
well, that's
Or wants to
right.
do.
That's what I'm saying.
But then
That's
it
where he
becomes
gets
an
to his yes or
approval,
no.
okay? Because then I'm sure of what he is trying to do. At this point, he's told me he wanted to do his trucks down there. He's told me he wants today, Lim told me a restaurant, okay? When I called him today, he told me a restaurant. He wants to put a restaurant on that property. He wants to do this, he wants to do that. Until he comes to us with a set thing he wants to do, I can't say yes or no. Is that?
No, I agree with you. And we
Yeah,
gotta
I
know
agree.
what, we
Seriously.
gotta know what he,
That's what I'm trying, so I'm saying he's got to step forward first
Right.
before, you're trying to answer a question and he hasn't given you the question yet. You're just trying to tell him the guidelines and
Right,
He
That-
basically
that's
gave him a
tough.
what-if question.
right, yeah. What if and in the zoning meeting, there were 3 things, I think. One of them was, especially on the agriculture, they wanted to put a cabin on there. Well, a cabin is a dwelling, okay? So that would be acceptable. But I gotta know. I can't stamp, the certificate without knowing exactly to the details that, because he's got setbacks to meet. He's got all of those things to meet.
has he, I know that he was going to be coming back and have with a drawing for you. Did he ever supply that?
He did, but that was for in addition to the other property that he
Okay.
currently owns. He does not yet own the bigger property. okay? They have never closed on it. There's only a contract written that they would do it. And he's held it off to find out what he could do on the property, okay? Well, here's what he could do, and it's limited on the A1 portion, okay? Unless he wants to seek further approval as to what he does back there.
But he, originally when he came in, I came in right when he was leaving, and we talked about it. He wanted to move his paving business there, right?
Yes. His
And that
paving
was in the
business-
house, the one that he
in the little
currently
house,
owns.
Right, in the house he owns, he wants to do that. And his certificate that he filed with me was to do an addition to the back of the house, okay? That is on hold, okay? I haven't approved it because I was waiting on the drawing. He brought the drawing to me. And then when he did, he said, I'm putting this on hold.
So the parcel that he owns now with the house or the building, what is that zoned?
B3, all of
B3,
it.
okay. So the parcel that he wants to buy that he has not yet closed on, that's A1.
A1, B3.
Oh, it's both.
It's a split.
They're split.
The A1's in the back across the creek, correct?
75 feet south of the creek, of the bank of the creek to the rear of the property,
Okay.
okay?
So how much land are we talking about for the split parcel?
Well, you can't really call it split. That's was my
yeah.
zoning piece.
Zoning split.
It's probably approximately 2 acres for the A1 and 5 for the business piece.
Okay.
The flat, what you almost see is like, you know, when you look straight down and you see the trees back there in the back, well, the stream is right there, pretty much at the tree line, and then 75 feet forward. So there's a great deal of more acreage to the B3 side than there is the A1 side.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't mean to have taken so long on this, but I wanted to be assured that that what we said, what the zoning commission says and what I said, because I even brought this up before the BZA when we met for our annual meeting. And the BZA agreed that he could build whatever he wanted on the A1 as long as it was within what A1 permitted.
Right.
So where it says Article 7.2 allows for, and it lists all those things, with what I hear him wanting to do, it doesn't include a restaurant.
That would go on the business portion,
Okay.
because he told me he would put that up front. That would be allowable on the B3 property.
Yeah.
That would come under 9, well, yeah, the B3 under Chapter 14, the permitted uses.
Now, if you, for example, the Wurzelbacher ball field down here, would you, they have a beer license and they serve food, that would be considered a restaurant. So if it's a sit-down restaurant or it's the type of thing that's down here at Wurzelbacher, same conditions have to be met for both facilities.
Well, within
They're
the,
both considered restaurants.
well, yeah, just like Country Barrel is too, and it serves beer,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
But the beer license, the liquor license are different. I don't deal with liquor license, you know that.
Yeah,
The
that
zoning wise,
is be
that's-
approved through the state,
That's through the
and
state.
then they ask
then,
if we have any
you know,
objections to it.
objections. And
Okay.
everything else too in that respect. So it's not as complicated as I may have made it, but I wanted to be assured that I did not do anything that would cause him to run to the courts. I mean, I want to make sure that we get what he wants, but it's got to be done in a very planned way.
And we need to know what he wants. When he
Right.
decides, then he needs to come to you and let you know, then you can tell him specifically what he can and can't
Can and
do.
do. And that's all I'm trying to do here, Jeff, is really doing that. I'm not trying to stop it. I mean, seriously, I want that to be developed as well. You
So
know,
the ball's kind of in his court right now.
Right, it is, as of this letter anyway.
Right.
And I'll back it up. Now, let's see, one last thing I think I had on here. What did I do with myself? Okay, all right, so under 4, the 18 acres on Hamilton Scipio by the Ramsey Place, has a sale pending according to the Huff Realtor website, okay? 2513 Morgan Ross, which is for sale. The property is not being sold as a duplex, and I called Darrell and let him know that. The other property on Hamilton Scipio that you asked about, Tom, with all the excavators and stuff, there is no construction going on there. It is just a driveway and the pond like I thought it was.
Okay.
And then, of course, the zoning opinion that I gave you on that. And is there anything else that you guys have that you want me to look into or anything else? Please also send me an email, okay?
Thanks, Dale.
So I can get them on.
The only thing I sent you,
Oh, yeah.
the Ohio Township, I don't know if it's gonna pertain to us or not. Let me go back where it was.
Back on one of the farther pages.
Preparing a stormwater pollution prevention plan. They're supposed to have, I guess, a webinar on it. I don't know if that's anything that's gonna come down the pike to us. It's EPA webinars.
So you want me to see,
If you wanna check it out, if it's something you think pertains to us,
Attend
then
the
you
work-
got information, you can go, and if you don't think it is,
okay.
Stormwater is usually, that's all regulated, managed through the engineer's office.
Yeah, that's.
They have people that do all the stormwater stuff and everything like that.
I didn't know if
Oh,
there's
they-
anything we needed to add to that, to our zoning or not. I don't know the
Sure,
answer, and I
sure.
thought it's at least worth a
yeah.
look to say yes or no.
Yep.
Because I know we've got a stormwater retention plan. Do we need that because of the businesses?
But is that really zoning?
I don't know.
I don't either. So, I mean, I'll look into it.
I wouldn't think it
I
applies.
really don't think it applies,
Applies
but.
to zoning?
but,
Yeah.
Yeah, because the county supersedes pretty much all that with the stormwater branch that they have at the engineer's office.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, that's
said, I don't
how,
know if it's going to pertain to us
Yeah.
or
well,
not.
think about it, because that's how we got A1, B3 properties down in Shandon, because of the water and the creek and the stream and the aquifer that's down there.
Yep.
So,
I thought it'd be at least worth a look to see if it pertains to us or not.
that's okay. I can look and listen to it, and if it doesn't seem like it, I'll just leave it and let you know.
All right, anything else, Dale?
No, sirs.
All right, Mr. Reinhardt.
All right, first is the PO to Cargill Inc. for $7,471 for the 100 tons of salt.
So moved.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved. Then another PO to Cargill Inc. for $8,100 for the salt that Rob ordered today, and that's on top of the other POs that I have held back.
So moved.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved. A PO to Staples Business Credit for $1,500 for supplies for the fire department.
So moved.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved. Fiscal year 2020 was closed on Wednesday, February 3rd. We have a healthy carryover on most of our funds, healthy carryover balance. The required legal notice will be published in the Journal News tomorrow. The year-end balance certificate that I gave you shows our estimated revenue for the entire year, not what's in the bank now. So just so you know, that's the way the county does it. It's our estimated revenue for the entire year. So that's, will include all of the real estate taxes that we have yet to receive. So don't think there's that much in the account now, because there's not. The County and Budget Commission will not meet until next Thursday. I have to wait for them to approve and certify these numbers. Then I can go ahead and do permanent appropriations for the rest of the year. But I can't do that until they certify what I sent to them. Do you have any questions about, I know I don't normally give this to you, but this year I decided, you know, it would be a good thing for you to see.
Do you have any idea how the other townships finished out the year?
No. I wouldn't have a clue. I really don't
But-
talk to any of them.
Congratulations on managing the money. That's quite a deal.
Yeah, and it, you know, in all honesty, a big part of that is the refunds that we got from BWC. I mean, that helped our bottom line tremendously because it's still sitting there. You know, it will be appropriated, but, you know, for the truck and whatever, but it's still, I think that's the highest carryover that we've seen for quite a while.
Yeah.
So, in all of the funds, not just general fund. So, I'm leaving it in good shape for Tina, so.
Thank you, Connie.
And she has went all the way through all the accounting modules on the training site. She's ready to start
And
payroll now.
she's still here.
Yeah, she's still here, yeah.
Still there.
I don't know if she's smiling or not, but she's
Yeah.
still here.
We discovered that she can do these on any computer or any laptop, so she's been doing them from home, and that way she can take breaks and you know, because it does get very boring sitting there listening to Bob do all of those videos. So, so she came in on Friday, and we spent an hour and a half. I went over the questions that she had from what she had, you know, seen so far. So she has a very good grasp so far, for no farther along than she is of what's going on.
Good.
So that's really then all that I have, I think, for tonight.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cole?
We got an update from the health, or the recycling department in Butler County, and they dropped a note and mentioned to us that we would be getting new recycling dumpsters in the near future down at our recycling locations in the township. And the main difference, it looks like it's going to be the open lids will be replaced with locking lids. I'm not exactly, what I think that they're trying to inhibit is what gets put in there, not allowing couches or large items or building materials to get put in there, which is contaminating the recycling. Then the lids will have round type openings to help accommodate the items that are specifically allowed to be put into those things. The second thing is on the
Some of the other townships have already received those, and I've heard that the people that can't get the items in that are recyclable
are
because
leaving them.
a square box, they just leave it. So they're really getting upset because they have litter now everywhere. So I don't know that that's a good thing, really.
Yeah.
If we have a choice not to get those,
Well, I can.
Because you're trying to put a square box in a round hole. And you don't fit.
It sounds like they might be pushing their problem off onto the township. So it might be time to push back. Say, I don't know. What do you want?
We can do it, but we
Or
have to
get one to
monitor it.
experiment, try one for an experiment, leave the rest of the other 5 back here, the regular ones, and see
Right.
how much the experiment gets every 2 weeks versus the ones that have been there forever. Might be
Because
another option.
whether you fold a cardboard box up or try to get it in, it's not going to fit in a round hole, and that's the problem. So then people just throw it on the floor, on the ground.
Now, one of the dumpsters they do have has a wide slit in it. So if you put cardboard, specifically cardboard, but if you got something in the cardboard, forget it.
Yeah.
But you can flatten the cardboard and stick it in like an envelope.
Yeah, I get so aggravated when I go up here and dump, and then I look and I see all of these unfolded.
Cardboard
Yeah,
box.
Cardboard
most people
boxes
don't
and-
break them down. They just
They
throw
just
the whole
don't break
box,
them
you
down.
know.
And
So do
that's,
we have a choice on this?
that's part of the problem.
Well,
is
she's let us know. I mean, we always have a choice. It's
On
a
that, to keep
service.
the old ones, or we want the new ones? Is there a choice in this, or are they just doing it?
I think we always have a choice. I mean, we're their customer. So if we want to say this is going to work for the township, if we see a problem or we want to test it and say, not until the jury's comes back in will we accept these permanently.
Or can we, if they monitor it and they see that there's a lot of items being disposed of in Morgan Township, then we can police them for it. But I don't know if there's couches or anything going in any of ours. I mean, I don't ever see any.
Well, we saw didn't we see tables and chairs down in Shandon?
Shandon had a bunch of plastic kids' play furniture down there, a couple, I don't know, months back, a year ago. I remember a bunch of that was left off the site. My fear is that if we say, okay, give us all the new ones, these go bye-bye, then how hard is it to get them back? They may recycle them and send them to other places throughout the United States and have changed over to the new one. We won't get the old ones back.
And I just had them replace all the lids out here anyway because they were all damaged in some form or fashion.
Well, we could always just say, why don't we ask to hold on to ours right now, and we'll just use the other townships to see what happens.
Yeah, I know
Put us on
Westchester,
the bottom of the list.
Westchester
kind of
is,
thing.
I know for a fact has got them, and they hate them. Because it's just garbage everywhere.
Yeah, because Crosby Township had that same issue when was talking about getting rid of them because they just started throwing everything on the ground.
Well, let me ask her. I'll get more detail and bring it back 2 weeks from now tonight. I'm sure they were not going to be in anytime soon rolling in here. And the second thing is, a couple weeks ago, we had a young man dial in to our stream, Levi Grimm, who was interested in scholarships. So I let him know that the 4-H program has scholarships available, and I wanted to make sure that anybody who might be listening in or have young children, that the 4-H scholarships are coming up this year again. The applications are going to be due April the 4th. So if people know where the Butler County 4-H Ohio OSU Extension office is up by the Board of Elections, if they want to contact us and get more detail or go to the website to see the ins and outs of filing an application for a 4-H scholarship, it's well worth it.
They have to be a 4-H member
Right.
to apply for a 4-H
Right.
scholarship.
And that's all pretty much laid out on the website, but it's available to any Morgan Township. If they're child, student, if they're going to if they're going to a technical school. They changed that last year, so if it's a college program or a technical school, both could qualify. And the last thing, Julie down in Ross called the other day, Connie, and asked about document destruction. And she wanted to know if we had any requirement that we would want to maybe join with them or another township for document destruction. And I said, well, I'll check with the fiscal folks and see if we're handling that ourselves or how we're doing. Are we shredding it, or do we have a service?
You can't destroy documents.
We have a.
Well, you're going to have to destroy some documents at some point in time.
We have a policy, don't we?
So do
I
you,
was saying,
We
we have a
have a re-
policy.
We have a retention schedule policy, and anything that we want to get rid of, we have to write up a description and how we, what it is and how we wish to dispose of it. That has to be approved by the Ohio Historical Society, and then they write us back, give us their approval, and they tell us how to dispose of it. We can't just shred whatever we decide we don't want. For instance, any employee records or any payroll can never be destroyed.
In
Never.
fact,
okay. Are you aware what Julie is discussing?
She didn't,
It sounds
no,
like,
she didn't contact me,
okay.
so
Yeah, we wrote that township paper, I want to say about 10 years ago, and then it has to be sent off to the state. It has to be approved. And then I believe the Historical Society had to sign off on that paper
that's
as
where
well.
it goes,
okay.
it goes to the Ohio
Okay.
Historical Society. They're the ones that have to approve it.
Because I know the Butler County, the court system and the offices up at that level have a robust document destruction program. So when they were explaining that to me, I knew there were some requirements, but it sounds like it's much more structured from what we have in place here. So
Yeah,
that-
you
that's
can't
good.
just,
That's no
you
problem
can't
there.
just shred it. And yes, that's the one thing I did not get accomplished that I wanted to, was to go through and determine what we could get rid of.
Pretty much you gotta keep everything for a certain amount of time, depending on our
Right.
policy.
Well, do we have an option? Does it all have to be hard copied, or can it be electronically stored?
It could be electronically stored, but do you have any idea how many records are in that office, Jeff?
Oh, tons. I know when Rob was
And-
looking
and-
back, when he went back for the easement on Jenkins, I can't believe he found that. But if we ever started to electronically store those documents, it'd be a lot easier to manage it, I
Yes
was
and no.
sure.
But,
Unless you don't, unless you
Well,
lose them or
Here's the
something.
problem with it. The technology now to store these documents is great. 5 years from now, you may have to go back and
right,
update these to store because 10 years from now, that computer stuff is not going to work with this computer stuff and you can't pull it up. And that's one of the things they taught in one of those classes when we were in Columbus. When you start doing it this way, your technology may not be able to open it then, so you
Right.
could be in trouble.
right.
You have to, every so often, update everything, and that can be a large cost.
You also have to store it off-site as well. So if you have it stored on site here and you lose this building for whatever reason, that electronic version has to be stored somewhere else. And there's like master servers like this, say, Nashville, Tennessee, somewhere way away from here, that's a backfill, because we've learned that government entities around the country have learned that the hard way during natural disasters, that there was no backup of their data, their records on electronics, so.
What's one of the company, Iron something? I remember we went to.
Oh, God, yeah, no, I can't remember either.
Yeah, Iron something that
Yeah.
they stored documents,
Yeah.
but it's.
There are several
it's pretty
different
expensive.
companies
Yeah.
that will come in and,
Yeah, there's
you know,
about 3 or 4 here in the city, but
There's-
Iron,
scan
So
it,
it's-
you
but
know.
there's
It
some
seems
stuff-
easier, but it
There's
gets
some stuff
costly
back in
and
that room that are on
Yeah.
the old onion paper even,
Well, when would
that
you,
I don't know if it'd even go through a scanner.
Right.
when would you ever start doing something like that? I mean, it
Well,
would
that-
take years
that's
to
the
catch
thing.
up, but could you ever start
You know,
electronic
like,
document retention?
from now through March, we're closing the year, opening the year, doing new permanent resolutions and get everything done. And then you've got a lull of maybe 6 weeks, maybe 2 months, and then you have to start on next year's budget. And so that's another 6, 8 weeks that you spend doing that. And then you get that done, and you have a little bit of a lull, and now it's time to start thinking about closing the year and doing all of that. So, I mean, it's something that's very time consuming, and that's why I didn't get it accomplished,
Yeah.
because it's just,
Okay.
I'm sorry, but, you know, I'm already putting in 30 to 40-hour weeks. A lot of times, I just don't have the time to do that.
That would have to be something we would contract out.
Almost would,
Yeah, because it would be a full-time job for
yeah.
a pretty much of a year, I would say, at
Yeah.
least,
And
maybe
then once
longer.
you start it, you gotta keep updating it.
Right,
It's something that if we get back into next year's cycle with an intern from Miami University, could be a project for them, you know, something separate off to that as an intern. But the internships for the next year are off the table.
But
right
they'd have
now.
to have a system to scan it into, and that would have to be residing somewhere, like you're saying, off-site.
Well,
Right.
we would scan it here in our records, but also duplicate those same records, a second duplication, send them to an off-site storage. So
I just Googled it, it's called Iron Mountain.
Iron Mountain.
I knew, yeah, that's what I was trying to do too.
Iron,
Okay, that's all I've got.
Iron Mountain.
Okay.
They're not easy to deal with because I had to do it out of one of my jobs.
I don't know.
Mr. Brucker.
Just an update on Jenkins Road, the easement, dropped off the information that we had that Rob was able to collect. And the last correspondence I had with Mr. Fernanding, he said, I offered up the meetings in February, that he could come and discuss, you know, what he was looking to do and what we could do for him. And he couldn't make it tonight, but he was trying, he said he would try to make the 22nd, so that's the next meeting. So that's all I know on that. As far as the community center, it is closed, but I got a request from a Girl Scout troop leader that just wanted to have like 3 or 4 people in the building to sort cookie orders for the Girl Scout cookies. And then she was going to call the people that ordered the cookies and have a drive-through in the parking lot. So for about 2 to 3 hours, they would be in the building, 3 or 4 people sorting the orders, and then they would go outside and they would have the drive-through and pick up the people would pick up their orders. So we approved that since it did not exceed the 10 people. So I contacted Judy Case to let her know that somebody needed to get in and unlock the building and then lock it back up. So she coordinated all that. So when she got down there Saturday morning, February 6th, to open the door for the Girl Scout troop leader, she found that the water was running. She investigated, and she found that one of the toilets in the men's room was running, and don't know how long it was running. She texted me and texted Rob. Rob went down and found a flapper, if I remember.
The flapper on the toilet is, I guess, from the chlorine in the water, it basically made it harden up, and it wasn't as flexible, and it would, when you went to flush it, it would stick up, and it wasn't going back down. So I put a new flapper on it. Now it goes down and stops the water like it's supposed to. And like 2 months ago, I put a new fill thing in it because the one that was in it apparently wasn't the right one that was put in it, and it was filling it too full, and every so often it would flow over and would run continuously, and the cleaning lady had told me about it. So I got that fixed, and when I did that, I should have replaced the flapper, but I didn't. But anyway, but I told Judy that I was there on Wednesday, and it wasn't running on Wednesday, so.
I think Janice was there on Wednesday too, cleaning, before she came here. So it wasn't running Wednesday.
Okay, so at worst, it would maybe 2 days.
Maybe
2 or 3
2 days if that, so.
Okay. And then the other item that she was really upset about is, she said that she hasn't been in the building for a while, but she's noticed it quite a few times, and it was, this Saturday was one example, was somebody's using, it's normally the men's room, not the women's, and they're using the men's room, and they're just leaving it just terrible condition. I mean, not flushing the toilets, so that, is bad in itself. Missing the garbage can or deliberately throwing the towels on the floor as opposed to going into the garbage can. And she said, for adult men, because it's not open to the public and kids aren't in there. So I think she asked Rob, and Rob said, the only people that could get in there with it being locked is the sheriff's department and the fire department. I don't know if the fire department ever goes down there anymore would be using the facility, but if they are, I just want to put it on record that, hey, if these bathrooms are, when it's not rented, are going to be, as she's called it, deliberately left a mess, then I think we need to lock them up. Or kind of identify who's going in there, and if it becomes a problem, then we need to address it with, either the sheriff's department or the fire department, if that's the only people in there. With that being said, I think the sheriff's department has access to Shandon Station too, correct?
I don't know, do they, Jeff?
To the, 142.
The sheriff's department does
Yep,
have access to that.
Local deputies.
So have we checked those bathrooms? Are they the same way? Are they being left in bad
I've
bad
got
condition?
one down there.
So we have Wednesdays is that station's day to get truck checks in the bathrooms, clean all that. And I've got nothing back from my crews on that. I noticed the last 3 or 4 times that I've gone down there to get into the cache, to our room in there with the uniforms and our other stuff, the door has been left open between that room and the kitchen that leads into the rest of the community center. And I asked Rob about it, and I think my plan is, and Rob and I have talked about it, is we're going to just change the code on that building. We're just going to change the code on it, and then just our personnel, the personnel that really only need to be in there, there's only like 4 to 5 people need to be in there. The 2 folks that do the uniforms and the bunker gear, and then Lieutenant Cooper and Lieutenant Galloway have some stuff still in the one room.
That's the
Was it a
outside door?
3-digit
Yes, that
code or
outside door.
How many? The last one.
I think it's a 4-digit code.
It's to the door.
Yeah, I was going to
It's-
say use 5 numbers.
It's a 3-digit. It's 2 numbers at
Somebody
the same
down there
time.
might have figured it out if it's a 3-digit, because 3 digits are very easy to figure.
It's 2 numbers at the same time and then one separately. So
It could be somebody from down there.
That's what I'm
She said
thinking.
it's almost looks deliberate, is what she said, and it's,
So I'm wondering if someone just happened to hit it and figured it out and goes in there.
So the quickest fix then would be is to get a locksmith to just change the code that's on that door, because that door has a code to it. We just have the code change. I don't know. if
Is
we
that
can do
the old
Rob.
one? Which,
Yeah, it's the original one that's on there that I know of.
we should be able to change that, right?
Maybe Andy's locksmith, maybe Andy could do it.
Andy's locksmith's always been the one that's changed that one, because that one was so finicky that
Yeah.
we could never do it. Now, the one down at the Shannon Firehouse, Mark and I can change that one. I mean, we've changed that so many times. That's the one that used to be over at the firehouse, but the one down there always had Andy's locksmith change, because I never could figure that one out.
do you have any old locks from the firehouse that maybe we could swap it out down there, and then you could be able to change like you do with the Shandon, if it's an old lock from the firehouse?
I'll have to look upstairs. I don't
We'd have to
know,
look, yeah.
don't know if we kept them or not. I'll have to look upstairs and see.
I mean, I don't want to, I'm thankful when the sheriff department comes out here, and I don't want to lock them out if they need to get in there to use the restroom. I mean, 3 o'clock in the morning, there's not too many places to use the restroom if they have to go, so.
Yeah, we've offered, so we have one deputy here that has a key fob, and we've offered a key fob to the other 3 that cover Morgan Township, and they kind of declined. They didn't want the responsibility of it. So, but that door being left open, because literally if you come in with a key, if you come into the front door or the side door with a key, you can't come back through the kitchen into our room because it's got a lock from the inside.
Right,
So
from the
they're coming
community
through
center
that,
to your
they're
room.
coming through that door, going through to the restroom and leaving that door open. That's the indication that I get. And I've caught that probably the last 4 or 5 times I've been down to that door's been left open. So it's somebody going through that side door in our room, cutting through the kitchen to go to the bathroom. So my suggestion, the quickest, easiest fix would just change the code on that door.
How do we get that to the sheriff's department, to the officers?
I can get it out to the 4 that work here. There's 2 on the day shift, 2 on the night shift. I can get it to them.
All right. And then we'll just, when I talked with Judy, since she lives a couple doors up, she's gonna keep an eye on it. She said, I have not seen anybody down there other than a sheriff's car from time to time, and it's not that often.
Yeah.
So, did you want to add something else, Rob, or is that pretty much what you wanted to talk
That's pretty
about?
much what I wanted to talk about, because well, when I went down Saturday, that door was closed, Jeff, so I know Saturday it was closed. And every time I go through there, I make sure that I close that whenever I do go in there, but it just, the cleaning lady's told me numerous times, she goes, whoever uses the men's bathroom is just a slob, because that's the only reason she's going down there to clean right now is, you know, the building's not being used, but she goes down there once a week just to make sure that's tidied up. And some weeks she says it's a mess, other weeks it's all right. It just depends on how much and who's been down there. And
We have very little stuff that even is down there anymore. We have the uniforms and bunker gear, and the one that does the bunker gear is a female. So there's only really 4 people that even would go down there from our department.
So that's the
because
only thing you keep down bunker gear now, or?
we keep uniforms and bunker gear in the locked room, which used to be the jail cell, so it's locked and secure. And then we have some additional medical training material that's down there that Lieutenant Galloway has down there, some extra old IV arms and stuff like that. And then Lieutenant Cooper has like the old stretchers and the old manual stair chairs that we have that we replaced with the automated ones here that are just down there being stored. So, and some spare nozzles and some spare stuff like that.
So you don't
that
go
we
down
just-
there on a regular basis?
Oh, no. If the 2 that go down there the most would be the 2 that do the uniforms and the bunker gear. The other 2, Lieutenant Galloway and Lieutenant Cooper, hardly ever go down there because most of their stuff now is up here. So I mean, I suspect who it is. So
The avenue that Brett was going down, that somebody could have that code that's not a fire department, not a sheriff. And so maybe changing the code might, if it continues on, then we know it's not that. But let's rule that one out first, because I didn't even think about somebody down there getting in there. And That sounds like something that might be,
Because let me ask you this, it's been the same code for a long, long time. Are those 3 buttons worn?
Could be. I really don't pay attention.
The reason I know this is from being the locksmith. That's one of the things they teach you.
I don't pay attention.
You can see
to
that,
it.
and then it's really easy to get in.
But I will tell you, Rob is right. It's finicky. You can do the same code 3 times, and on the 4th, it'll finally work.
Yeah.
The same. It's very finicky.
That's why it's so hard to change it, and I always had to get Andy's locksmith, because if you don't do it just right, it won't open.
Yep.
That tells me it's wearing out inside.
Yep.
maybe it's time to, if we don't have a spare one from the firehouse, maybe we ought to look
We
at
should.
getting
We
a
took
different
the
one.
electronic, when we added the electronic ones, we should have a couple of the old manual ones.
I'll go back when we're done here and I'll look and see. So.
And if
All
not,
right.
and if we do, I'll call Andy to install it. So.
Okay, that's all I got.
All right, I got those 2 classes. I don't know if you guys have done them yet. The fire rescue, did the
Academy.
sexual harassment,
Yes, I
and
did
the
those.
HIPAA.
HIPAA.
Mhm.
Have you gotten yours done yet?
Sexual harassment, but do you say there's a fire rescue?
No, HIPAA,
Big-
that's
HIPAA.
the, it's Fire
It didn't
Academy.
show up on my syllabus. Only that one class showed up. Did it show up on yours that you had 2 classes pending?
Yeah.
I'll take another look.
Yeah, they
You
were,
got-
it was one,
you still
Yeah,
want
I
our
got yours
certificates,
for
right?
the sexual harassment, Jeff, yes.
did, forward mine to Penny, did you?
I'd like to put it in your personnel file, yes.
Okay, I've got the completion certificate or
Okay.
whatever.
All right, I'll do the same,
Okay.
or try to do that. And the only other thing I got is we do executive, so.
Okay,
All right. So I'll make a motion at 8:06 to go to executive session for personnel to consider appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
Second?
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
yes.
We are adjourned to executive session.
All right, at 9:08, I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second,
All right. if you-
Mr. Updike,
Yes.
Mr. Brucker, yes. Mr. Kolb,
Yes.
we are back in session.
Back in session. All right, I guess some of the discussion we talked about is possibly dividing our zoning spot and adding another spot, putting just administrator and possibly a zoning enforcer
Inspector.
or inspector. We're still in the process of looking into it.
So the next step, Dale is going to write up all the duties that he currently does, and then we'll pick and choose which person. Dale will take the administrative side or the actual writing and paperwork and things like that, and then we'll hire someone to be the enforcer. So Dale's going to give us all the job descriptions, duties that he currently does, and then we'll divide them up amongst the 2 people.
Anything else?
Do we need to vote on that, or are we good?
No, it's just
Adding another
all
person?
talk about right now. We're not
We're not hiring anybody
not
yet.
hiring anyone yet. It's all in the talk process.
Okay.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a
make a motion to adjourn.
second. All right. Mr. Kolb.
Yes.
Mr. Brucker, yes. Mr. Updike,
Yes.
we are adjourned.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna leave this disc and tape back here for